welcome to our minisodes on agents with our agent assistant, Alice Hoskyns. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alice.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you, Alice. Would you mind introducing yourselves to our listeners, please?
Of course. So I'm Alice Hoskyns and I work with literary agent Sophie Lambert at C&W Agency, which some listeners might know as Conville and Walsh, as it was previously known, and it's part of the Curtis Brown Group. I joined C&W in January 2022 after a few years working in the theatre, film, TV and education industries, respectively, as a freelancer.
And I'm so excited about these minisodes, and I know they're going to be so helpful to so many of our listeners and probably to us as well. So thank you. So without further ado, let's get cracking.
Welcome to our seventh and final minisode of this series. Today we're talking about the rather tricky and not often discussed topic of moving on from agents. So Alice, like any relationship, sometimes the author and agent relationship just reaches an end for a variety of different reasons, and authors do sometimes move on from their agents. So how would you say that they should approach this with their current agent?
So, as I feel like I've said a lot, open communication, transparency, and really laying out kind of the reasons for why you'd want to move. And also, I suppose, to flag any issues that could be resolved. It might not be that it's at that stage, but it could be something glaringly obvious that the agent is, they're completely swamped with other things and they just haven't been able to see that one thing that they could change. Again, it's like all relationships. There are the options to salvage it. But I think, as with any relationship, personal, professional, just with maturity and consideration, and sometimes it might be really obvious to both of you that the time has come. And that might just be a kind of, an easier conversation than you might expect it to be. But I think, you could do it over a nice lunch. Why not?
It can't be as bad as breaking up with a lover or a husband or something. It doesn't entail all-night conversations and drinking and stuff. No, anyway.
Do agents, interestingly, is when they want to get rid of a client? I know we're talking about here where if you want to break up with your agent, but if your agent wants to break up with you, is there any particular, I guess, hints that an author would get that that's coming?
Again, it's just like any relationship. You get the instinct, don't you?
Never call me.
I think you can probably. Well, it's just like, again, with any relationship, if it's not feeling good for you, then get out of there. I think if it's making you anxious and you don't feel, an agent should be your biggest advocate and support. And even if they're slow to reply, you should really feel like they're on your side and your team, and that actually you could email them and say, I am feeling really rubbish about this. Please, could we hop on a call or can we meet for a coffee? And that they will try and work that into their week, because it should be a priority to them. And so if you're feeling really like you're not a priority in any way, then I think you can kind of empower yourself and leave if that's what you want to do.
Is there anything, what shouldn't an author do in that situation? If an author feels the time is right to leave, or they're getting the sense that the relationship is sort of not working, is there something, that they really should not do?
Anything that might piss the agent off, basically.
Or that would jeopardize their, chance of getting another agent, perhaps.
Well, sort of signing with another agent before you let your agent know. So you're then technically in breach of contract, I think, which isn't a great thing. Not saying mean things about your agent to other agents. Again, like I said, it's a very, very, very small industry, and that will get back. And
I'd imagine that was a massive red flag, though, as well. If an agent sees an author being like, "Oh, my agent was blah 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 blah," I imagine they'd be like, "Whoa, that's
when people talk about their ex on a first date, that's the kind of red flag.
Oh, it is so similar.
There's a lot of parallels here, aren't there? Yeah,
exactly. But I've known situations where it's like, they've been, someone's thought that an author's still signed to them and they've been on another agent's website and it's like, oh,
No.
Yeah. So not that, just clear, honest, open communication again.
Oh my goodness. And what should you do if you are feeling ghosted by your agent then? So not run away and say, I don't want to be with you anymore. You know, how can they sort of approach this topic with their agent?
Well, I think if you really are being kept in the dark for an interminably long time, I think, like I say, it's just important to advocate for yourself and ask for some clarity on what's going on. They are taking commission on all of your work, like you are allowed to do that, and you have the right to step in and be your own spokesperson in a way. And it's not a sustainable author-agent relationship if it's constant silence, and if it feels rubbish. So I think in that position, you can start, thinking about what might look like a happier agent-author relationship for you. But I think advocating for yourself is important.
I think it's that this is our final minisode because it's a gloomy subject. It
is. I think
break up with anyone.
You make some really good points. It is about having someone in your corner and them being an advocate. And if that isn't how it's feeling, then there are questions that need to be asked, and transparency is key. I think that's sort of the message, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is a positive message.
I like to think that overwhelmingly, people have relatively good relationships with their agents, and on the whole, that it works well. I mean, I think anyway. I'll stop blabbering.
No,
I
think
I agree. I agree, Leslie. I think it does.
It's the rarity, and again, it's a bit like books that don't sell. It is rare, and it isn't talked about much, so you don't really know how much it's happening, I guess. So it is really great that we are able to talk about it. So thank you, Alice.
No, but I think it's kind of, I don't know, and this might make me sound very green, but I think it's, people don't really work in publishing for money or for fame or fortune, and actually we do just work in publishing because we really, really love books, and therefore sabotaging those relationships isn't in anyone's interests. And I think that can maybe be a takeaway, is that's the main motivation for working in this industry for all the people.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, that's amazing. Well, sadly, that is the end of our final mini-sode. So thank you so much, Alice, for these amazing sessions. They've been so popular with our listeners. And if you are listening today and you have any experts you'd like us to bring on for another mini-sode series, do get in touch in the usual way. But for now, it's goodbye from Leslie.
Bye.
Goodbye from Nikki.
Bye.
Goodbye from Alice.
Bye.
And goodbye from me. Goodbye.